Yes, Pirates of Penzance.
It's a good song, Gary.
Do you remember Schoolhouse Rock?
I don't know if I know into the school. I wasn't much of the PBS kid growing up.
Oh. I have the words, but I don't have the video.
Schoolhouse Rock. How's it going?
Body Machine one, that's the one that you want.
Which one?
Body Machine.
Oh,
When you look down the street, what do you see? The street is overflowing with a lot of machines. Now I don't mean the buses, the trucks or cars. I'm talking about the people, yeah, you know who they are. I'm a machine, you're a machine. Everybody that you know, they are machines. To keep your engine running, you need energy. For your high-powered revved up body machine. Your high-powered revved up body machine. I'd be a fool if I said that the fuel that we needed to burn was gas. Cause the fuel we use is a stuff called food, and it puts out the power for our machine. You make a stop at the filling station, fill up one chicken sandwich to go. As you start to chew, your body does it. All systems go.
Now that sandwich contains some very important kinds of food energy for your body. The chicken gives you protein, bread, carbohydrate, mayonnaise, fat, and the lettuce has vitamins plus cellulose or roughage. Together these things help keep your body machine running smoothly.
First the salad, kinda like a driver.
Move to the rear of the mile.
But what it's doing, along with keep it chewing, is taking food and breaking it down. Down to the stomach, the food is pushed. The esophagus does its stuff. Then the stomach starts
And don't move and fly.
as the body machine turns up.
Gastric juices operate on proteins, fats, and carbohydrates.
In the stomach, they do what they do. They take out nutrition and use it for you.
When the cellulose in those leaves, you know, will control the traffic flow.
Helps the food to move along so the good stays in and the bad gets gone. I'm a machine, you're a machine. Everybody that you know, they are machines. To keep your engine running, you need energy. For your high-powered revved up body machine. Your high-powered revved up body machine. Then the small intestine does most of your digesting by sending all the nutrients in through the villi,
Which look a little silly.
but act as little vents. The bloodstream passes the nutrients it catches and takes them to the cells you see. You use what it delivers
And store some in the liver.
for future energy. I'm a machine, you're a machine. Everybody that you know, they are machines. To keep your engine running, you need energy. For your high-powered revved up body machine. Your high-powered revved up body machine. Your high-powered revved up complicated tune-up fascinating body machine.
Take care of that machine. You've got such a great model there, honey.
Give it the right fuel, high protein, low calorie.
Take it out for a spin every day.
My kids love it. That's the only reason why I remember it. They did my wife brought home a anniversary set. It was really good on the whole thing.
Babcock. How old are your kids?
7 and 5.
Ooh.
shoot.
With the kids, yeah. I like 5 years old is good. I think my wife,
Yeah.
I think.
All right, second grade.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? And we're just looking for some audio. I can hear you. But you guys can't hear me? That's okay. Work on it. We'll work on it. Make sure this is all good on my end. Da, 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 da,
I'm gonna get a front row seat. I'm gonna get a front row seat.
da, da, da,
I'm gonna do the floor.
da, da, da.
Oh, I don't have front row. Look at my hair. Can I sit on it? Yes. I got a front row. I can't see.
Good.
I can see you want to make a choice.
That's the correct one Yep. All right. Been disconnected there. That's fine. Let's go back up to one. Well, good news. This all popped up and. Hello? Can you hear me?
Sit down, excuse me. This is unacceptable behavior right now. I am embarrassed in front of Mrs. Donovan.
Hello?
Liam, down, on your butt. Charlie, we're not sitting on our feet, we're sitting down. Who is this? Down. Crisscross applesauce, everyone.
And we're just waiting for audio, I think. Waiting to see if you can hear me. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-do. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-ba. Toys R Us. The kids won't even know what Toys R Us is anymore, you know?
Is this both classes, Mrs. Slater?
Yes, it's both second grade.
Oh,
We
of
can
course.
spread them out a little bit, if that might help the conversation.
Okay, this row here where Nora is, can you move back just a little bit, please?
This one is. It is. Any luck with the audio so far? Hello!
Over a little bit. Hi, Joe Larry, is required. So I got her IP at the top, but I don't
Move over, move over.
Oh, you don't see us or hear us? Because I can see you and hear you.
No.
Okay, alright. What kind of a system are you guys using?
So it's a Polycom
It's a Polycom.
desktop.
Alright, I don't know, if you go into your settings, can you make sure that your audio input and, your audio input is good, your video input is good? Because like I said, okay, yeah, because I could, oh yeah, the picture just went out, but I could see you and hear you just a minute ago. And we're answering. Hello?
Okay. Oh.
Hello! You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Yay! And you can see me too, right? Oh, well, maybe not see. I don't know. Where'd my little remote control go? Where'd that just go? Here it is. Here it is. Hey, everyone! So, I'm so glad to see all of your faces today. My name is Justin, and I work here at Science Central. Now, if you don't know Science Central, I wouldn't blame you. You're a little bit far away from our normal visitors that come to visit us. We're all the way in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Do you guys know where that's at? Really far away. We're in Indiana. Has anyone ever been to Indiana before? You guys have? Oh, that's so cool! I love Indiana. Anywho, Science Central, we want to work on all things and study all things science. Okay, so today we are working with the science of our bodies. Super cool, tons to learn, tons to investigate when it comes to body systems. Does anyone know in particular what system we're going to be talking about today? Yes. Well, I think maybe the audio's cut out. I was just hearing you guys a second ago. I'm not hearing the audio anymore.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, yeah. Very good. So yeah, what are we working on today? Any idea?
Well,
The digestive system, that big D word, right? So we're talking about food itself. Now, food is extremely important for our bodies because we need all the nutrients in food, all of the vitamins and the minerals, the proteins, even, yes, some sugars and some fats. They're very important to us. But to help explore how this digestive system works, we're going to need some help. And I brought a very special guest for me today, and for us in general. This here is Stuffy. Stuffy is my giant, 7-foot-tall little friend here who's going to help us understand the digestive system a little better. Now, when you look at Stuffy, does he have something you guys don't? He does, yeah, okay, yes indeed, a good smile. He's got some wicked blue hair. This is amazing hair, that's true. What's that? Yes, take a look here. Stuffy actually has this wonderful zipper. And this zipper is going to allow us to open up Stuffy and see what kind of organs not only he has, but the organs we have in our own bodies. And even some of Stuffy's organs are the same size as what they are in regular adult people bodies. You guys want to see what's inside Stuffy? Awesome. Okay, so we have some food, right? What's our favorite type of food? Pizza. Pizza's what? I love pizza, right? I don't do the pineapple on the pizza anymore. It's too acidic. So, yes, pizza without pineapple. And we are going to, well, we need to get that nutrients of pizza inside of our bodies. So where does that food go first? In the mouth, right? The mouth's where it all starts. This is the fun. This is the journey right here. As the pizza goes inside of Stuffy's mouth here, it encounters two really important things inside of his mouth. What happens in Stuffy's mouth?
My name is Tom, and the teeth break it up into little parts.
Right, exactly. The teeth are super important, right? They grind all that food up into a nice little healthy ball here, and we call that ball a bolus. And that ball is going to need something else, though, to make sure it goes all the way through all nice and pleasant. It makes it soft. What does the mouth do that makes the food soft besides chewing it with the teeth, which is great, Tommy. Thank you.
My favorite is water.
It needs some water, right? So sometimes we'll drink some water with the food, but we don't really need that with most food, right? Because our own mouths can create what's called saliva, right? And that saliva inside, so when you smell like that pizza coming out of the oven, right? Your mouth starts watering. Have you guys ever heard that? You guys ever felt that? So that saliva helps mash in with the food and make it really soft. So it can go down to where? Where is it going down to and how is it getting there? Let's find out. Let's see here. Where are you, Stuff? I see you. All right, so first, it needs to go down through a tube. This tube is called the esophagus. Can you guys say esophagus? That's good. Esophagus, right? So that esophagus is right in the center, right below the mouth, right? Goes down the throat, and then the esophagus has some really cool musculature that'll take that food or that bolus up at the top and start squeezing it down. So it goes all the way down to our first organ of our digestive system. What organ is that going to? It is. That's so good. Yes. It's the stomach. Ooh. The stomach is such a cool organ. It's so amazing. The stomach rests right about here. Now I want everyone to hold your hands up and make little fists. Now put those fists together. That size right there is the starting size of your stomach. And it's right there in the middle. So if you put two hands together, you know how big your own stomach is. Now, that stomach is really cool though, because when food goes in, the stomach can actually stretch and get bigger, right? So this is a little bit bigger than my stomach is right now. I need to eat some dinner here pretty soon. Maybe it'll stretch out. So the stomach itself is really neat. The food goes down into it, and then two things start happening. One, there are different digestive juices that the stomach can make to help start that process of breaking down that bolus a little bit more. The stomach also has some muscles that will actually try and mush together that food to start to kind of break it apart so all the juices can get inside of it, right? Not only do we have digestive juices in there, we have something called bile, and we'll get back to that in a little bit. But the stomach itself, that's where the food gets held until it goes to our next organ. Where does it go after it leaves the stomach? The what?
Never mind.
Well,
You said the femur? It's an important bone. What do you think? That's a great guess, right? The intestines, right? Now, it first starts in the small intestine. So the small intestine is where it goes first. And let me see if I can find Stuffy's small intestine. Let's see. Ah! There it is! Stuffy's small intestine. Now, do you think this is as large as the small intestine gets, or do you think it's bigger than this? Maybe a little bit bigger. Let's just take some out here. What about this long? Is it this long? Is it longer? It's longer? All right, let's just try a little bit more. What about this much? You think it's longer than that? What about this much? Oh, I gotta start winding it. This much? This much? What about this much? Oh, there it is. All right. I found it! It's super long, right? If I could have my friend Gary come out here. Gary, let's try and unwind all this from me. And try and see how far back that goes. Now, this isn't just the size of Stuffy's small intestine. This is the size of an average adult male small intestine. Over 22 feet long. Isn't that crazy? It's super long! And I have a 22-foot long one in front of me. You guys almost have a 22-foot long one in front of you. Now, how does this all fit inside of the body? There's so much of it. How does it fit in? Well, it is wound very precisely. It's wound up all inside of here, your small intestine. Now, the job of the small intestine is super important because inside the intestine, once the food reaches here, it really starts breaking down and absorbing all of the nutrients of your food. So this small intestine's job is to take all those vitamins and minerals, those calories that we need out and start putting them to good use in our body. And we don't want that absorption to do, what would you say, be very quick. We want to make sure we get all of the nutrients out of the food, so it's super long to ensure that we get all of the good stuff out of our food. So this is the small intestine. Now, someone said it, but where does it go when it leaves the small intestine? That's right, the large intestine, right? Let's just, I'll throw it in here. All right, let's find it. Ah! I got it. The large intestine, do you think it's longer than this? Do you think it's longer than this? Do you think, oh no, it's not. It's not longer than that. This is your large intestine. How, right? It's so small in comparison to the small intestine. Gary, if you could just run back to those chairs for me really quick. Just run it all the way back. Just run it all. The kids want to see how long it is. They don't know. It's only this big. So why is this called the large intestine if this is the small intestine? Want to make some observations here? What do you guys notice? That's exactly right. You might not be able to see it with the camera, but the large intestine is quite a bit thicker and wider, right, than the small intestine. So that's why it's large and small, right? It's not talking about the length as much as it's talking about how big it is around, right? Now, what do you think the large intestine's job is? What is the large intestine trying to do? A question. What was that? Right, well, the food definitely needs to go down, right? Now, we've already absorbed almost all of the nutrients here from the large intestine, or from the small intestine. The large intestine's job is to take care of one other thing that's still in there. When we eat a big juicy apple, or maybe we eat some pizza without pineapple on it, right? All that sauce in there, all those oils, right? There's a lot of fluid that's still left inside of the digestive system. So the large intestine's job is to suck out all of that water that might be in there and really try and firm up what's left of all of the waste. Now, after the large intestine has sucked all those fluids out of it, we've really gotten everything we can out of the food, and really all we have is a bunch of waste and fiber. So, where does it go after that?
Into your hallways?
Into my what?
Hallway.
Hallway? Well, hallways? Is that what it was? Yes. There is something on the last little bit of the large intestine we call the colon. Now the colon is where all of that extra waste gets flushed down the toilet at the end of the day. And that's it. That is your digestive system. That's how the food goes from the mouth all the way down the esophagus, through the stomach, through the small intestine, through the large intestine, and out of our bodies. Pretty cool, right? Now, there are just a couple other organs that really help with the digestive system, and we can run through those really quickly here. And then if we have a minute, we could see if there are any questions. This guy, very important organ. It's called the liver. Now, the liver's job is to create a substance called bile. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. Bile is a special type of enzyme that can really help us break down fatty foods, because fatty foods are sometimes harder for the rest of the digestive system to break down by itself. So the liver produces bile, which is used inside of the digestive system. It also has a cool superpower. The liver itself can regenerate. That's right. And a healthy adult person could lose almost half of their liver, and the liver would grow back. Super cool. That's why liver transplants are so much more common and a little bit easier to handle for someone to give someone a piece of their liver, because then it can actually grow inside of them and regenerate. Pretty cool. And one last little bit here. I have what looks to be some kind of a carrot, right? It's not a carrot though. It's a very important organ called the pancreas. And the pancreas sits just below the stomach, and that pancreas's job is to handle, amongst other things, sugar. Now, have you ever challenged yourself with a giant 2-liter of soda pop and said, I'm gonna drink that entire thing? I hope you haven't. I hope you haven't. That's not a good thing to do. That's way too much sugar, right? But what happens when you start drinking that sugary drink? What happens when you have a lot of sugar? Yeah, you get a sugar rush, right? You get really kind of jittery and you get hyper sometimes, right? But then that doesn't last very long, does it? What happens after that sugar rush? You start to feel a little bit sleepy, right? You start to crash a little bit, right? It doesn't feel so good on the other end of sugar. So when you guys have sugar, pay attention to that. Like, am I getting a lot of energy? And then when you start to lose energy, think about the pancreas. Because what happens when your body starts taking in a lot of sugar, the pancreas gets activated and says, oh no, I need to control how that sugar is processed. So it creates something called insulin. Have you guys ever heard of insulin before? It's super cool. If you know anyone who's ever had diabetes, sometimes that really has to do with the production of insulin or the digestion of those sugars. So the pancreas is super helpful with that. On the other end here, I have one final organ. It's called the gallbladder. I find it to be one of the funniest sounding names in all of your organs. The gallbladder, its job, it rests right below the liver. And so when the liver produces that bile to help digest fatty foods, the gallbladder stores it. And when it senses that you have a really fatty hamburger or pizza, that gallbladder will squeeze inside of your stomach some different bile that'll help break down those fatty foods. So, these are some extra organs that help in the digestive system. Super important. Food doesn't pass through them, but without these, you wouldn't be able to digest near as well. So, that's our digestive system, but I think we have just a few more minutes if we do, teachers. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So with the brown part of your body, like how does it regenerate? Like how long does it take?
That's a great question. So the liver itself, if you were to lose part of it, it can regenerate 50% of its mass within 3 to 4 weeks, if you're healthy. But of course, that's why we really want to keep our livers healthy, because there are some foods and some drinks that you can drink that hurt the liver and hinder its ability to regenerate itself. Super cool. Other questions?
Can you move your
Did you ask if you could lose your gallbladder? That's a great question, right? So again, that gallbladder's job is really to help you digest fatty foods. Now, sometimes You can get what are called gallstones inside the gallbladder, or sometimes you can just have a gallbladder that isn't feeling too well. Now, sometimes we can remove the gallbladder from people, and they can still live long and healthy lives, but the added bit to the end of that is if you don't have a gallbladder, it's a lot harder to digest fatty foods, and so you're going to want to really watch your diet and not eat a whole lot of those. But yeah, you can live without a gallbladder. That's a great question. Other question? No more questions?
What do you think would happen if you lost all your organs?
If you lost all of your organs? Organs are super important. They're definitely part of your body. And we only talked about some in your digestive system, but we have other systems that use organs, right? Like your heart is an organ that pumps blood. You have your kidneys that filter out your blood and make urine, which is really cool. Lungs that help you breathe. We need oxygen. That's almost as important as food. In fact, I would say it's probably more important than food right away. You always need a healthy supply of oxygen. And so if you are missing all of your organs, that probably wouldn't be too good. I wouldn't recommend that surgery. I would get a second opinion. I'm sorry, what was that?
She wanted to know how come you did not mention the heart or the lungs.
Oh, that's a great point. So those are two very important systems. The circulatory system, which involves the heart, and the respiratory system that involves the lungs. And we can take those out of good old Stuffy here, and we can have you take a look at them. These are the lungs, right? So when you breathe in through your mouth, you're taking in a lot of air. Now, 21% of that air is oxygen, and we need oxygen in our blood, right? And the lungs are a great and the only way that human beings actually take in oxygen. It's actually interesting. There are some animals out there that don't need to use lungs to absorb oxygen. Do you guys know of any? Fish, right? Yeah, fish are so cool. Fish don't breathe air like this. They don't need lungs like that. They have gills for it, right? You also have things like spiders. Do you guys like spiders? It's around Halloween. Well, spiders too, they don't have to have lungs. They can actually pull that oxygen from the environment using different organs inside their little bodies. Super cool. Yeah, but very cool systems. And Stuffy's heart, also very important. Needs to pump that blood and make sure that oxygen gets everywhere in the body that it needs to. Do we have time for one more question? Oh, does Stuffy have a brain? You know, that's a great question. I like to think he's a smart old chap, and he probably does have a brain, but there isn't a zipper here, so I can't pull it out for you. But I like to think he has a brain. I haven't seen it myself, but he's really good on math quizzes, so he's a math whiz. That's Stuffy. Great question. All right, guys, well, it was super fun hanging out with you all and learning about all the different cool pieces of our digestive system. We do have a tradition here at Science Central. If you had fun and you learned something, on the count of 3, could you all yell, "Science is fun"? You think we can do that? Okay, on the count of 3, science is fun. Ready? 1, 2, 3! for hanging out with me. I hope to see you again soon.